What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back, and we are recording this on time for once. The Bracketology, it is updated before tonight's games on Friday night. You will be seeing this right before the game starts tonight, but lots of chaos this week already as we've seen Auburn and Purdue lose. Two of the top three teams have lost this week. And, we're just going to dive right into these three key things for bracket watch. We got the top overall seed now going to Gonzaga after that tough loss Auburn took in Arkansas. Gonzaga is most deserving, obviously, with two losses now, like Auburn. But Gonzaga is going to breeze through their conference and really no scares. Florida, very interesting team. They can play really good one game and the next game absolutely get destroyed against, one of the worst teams in the SEC. And then the last team in is BYU, who is in Gonzaga's conference. But, I think once they play them again, I think they play them one more time, probably another loss, and that could hurt their chances of getting in. As we scroll down here, Ty, which of these 16 teams, kind of surprises you most or just intrigues you the most here?
Yeah, a lot of movement here. Last four buys, I think all four of those are solidly in. I don't see them missing the tournament. Florida, I think, is going to miss the tournament. I'm going to say that right now. I just don't see them picking up the marquee wins they're going to need. Obviously, big fan of seeing Michigan on there. Finally, huge win last night. Now they got Ohio State coming up. Bias aside, I think Michigan is still the most intriguing team here. They have 9 games left, and 8 of them are quad one win opportunities. So if they go 6-3 or 5, even 5-4, they should find themselves in the tournament.
And I think a team that you didn't mention here is North Carolina. A team that everybody has wrote off since what, probably 2 weeks since the season started. No one's talked about them, and here they are, still making a push. I think Baycott is a huge reason why they're even in this conversation. And don't sleep on those Billikens of St. Louis. Seems like every year they're in around this spot. And if they make it, they rip off a win or two in the tournament. So that's a great team to look out for, and a lower conference that really can make a run. But as you said, Michigan really has a shot. It's all on their hands now. They aren't depending on other teams, to lose. And they need, if this happens, it's if you win and you're more than likely in. And that's not even talking about the Big Ten tournament where they could get a few extra wins there, and really boost their resume. But I'll start it down here, starting on the West. So you got Gonzaga as the number one overall seed, of course. And after that, I think you can make a case for the first 5 really could win this side of the bracket here. But Gonzaga should easily, obviously, get past the 16 seed. Indiana will beat Boise State in a close game, but Indiana won't be much of a challenge for Gonzaga. So they're easily going in the Sweet 16. And, I have been high on UConn, but then again, I'm going to go with North Carolina beating BYU and upsetting UConn. UConn's been very inconsistent this year. Once they're finally healthy and then boom, they lose. So there's really no excuse there for UConn. So I think North Carolina will upset them there in the typical 12-5 upset. And I think Texas Tech will get past New Mexico State and North Carolina. So they'll be playing Gonzaga. But for the bottom side of the bracket, I'm going Marquette, UCLA, Murray State with the upset over LSU and Duke. And we'll go back to the UCLA, Marquette. I think this will be a great game, but I think the experience in the tournament always comes down to play. And UCLA has that experience, as we saw, last year making that run. So give me UCLA advancing the Sweet 16. And who will they be playing? I think they will be playing the Murray State Racers, a team that nobody, still is talking about. They finally got recognition in the AP poll this week. They just keep on winning, 23-2 right now. And one of those losses was to number 1 ranked Auburn, and another one was just a bad loss early in the season. But I think they're on almost a 16 game winning streak, something really insane. And I can see that continuing, the rest of the year. But if Duke, can scrape by them, I think Duke could run the table as well, which makes this region kind of a tricky region. But I think this one is going to be a little bit of upset region. So give me Gonzaga over Texas Tech here in a very close game. Texas Tech is going to run out of magic, as we've seen so far this year, against a really good Gonzaga team. And who will they be playing in the Elite Eight? I don't think it's gonna matter. Give me UCLA. I think I want a rematch here. They've played each other once this year. And with that being said, I think Gonzaga is gonna have the upper hand in this time. And Chet Holmgren, I think he's gonna be the factor in every single one of these March Madness games because you can't defend size. Especially 7-1 size. It's very uncommon to have at least one player on your team 7-1. And with his athletic build, I just don't see how Gonzaga doesn't at least make it to the Elite Eight. And obviously, I'm going to the Final Four.
All right, this region is not easy for Gonzaga. Remember, last year they were the #1 seed and just had a cakewalk of a region. Not the same here. I'm going to go with Gonzaga and Indiana. That is not an easy second round matchup, but that's how it works out. They get Indiana, but I will go with Gonzaga. Just too much talent there. I'll go Texas Tech, but I'm going to go with a 12/5. I'm taking North Carolina over UConn. But if it is BYU, I'll still take BYU. I think that's definitely upset brewing there, especially if it's Carolina. But I do think Texas Tech will get past North Carolina there in the second round to go to the Sweet 16. I'm going to go with Marquette and UCLA. But UCLA, I just think too much across their starting five for Marquette. Marquette's a good defensive team, but UCLA can shoot really well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Duke and LSU, with Duke moving on there. So you got the top 4 seeds for me, chalk in the West. So I got Gonzaga and Texas Tech. Too much talent again for Gonzaga. Texas Tech will come up just short. Great season for them, but I don't see them getting past Gonzaga. I'm going to go with UCLA, though, over Duke. Perhaps an unpopular pick, but I just think UCLA is clearly the better team right now. I think Duke is a little bit overrated at the moment. It just seems like they've been kind of coasting through a weak conference. And I think UCLA gets it done there. But once again, UCLA comes up short against Gonzaga, and the Zags go to the Final Four.
And we will move over to the Midwest region here. Auburn is the #1 seed, even after that loss. And, they're most deserving with it. We're still 2 losses this year. And we're going to look at the bottom of the bracket here at Kansas at 2. And, Kansas could make the case for the 1 seed, but they, obviously that 20-point loss, I think, is what's going to hurt them at home to Kentucky at the end of the year, coming to seeding. But we'll start back up at the top. Auburn, I think if they play Wake Forest, which I have them, Wake Forest being Iowa State, Wake Forest is a very, very big dark horse team right now. In the ACC, really not making some noise in the ACC, but other than that, nobody's really talking about this Wake Forest team. Coming really out of nowhere, finally getting some love in the AP poll. Getting those others receiving votes. So they're right there. They're on the cusp of eclipsing that top 25. And it could be a scary team come March, but I think right now, if this was the season and what I've seen so far, you got to still pick Auburn, Walker Kessler. I mean, no one's ever seen a guy like that can handle the ball in 7-1. And I think Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons, I don't think they have a guy that can stop him. So Auburn will move on to the Sweet 16. And who will they be playing? They will be playing the Villanova Wildcats. They will easily breeze by Vermont, and the Michigan State Villanova game should be a good game. But, this Michigan State team we saw just absolutely throttle Michigan a weekend ago, and then how'd they respond by getting throttled by Rutgers at their place. So I think it's going to be one of those inconsistent Michigan State teams in March, and Villanova, I think, should win by 10 or more. So they'll be facing Auburn, and give me Villanova to move on and beat Auburn in kind of a shocking upset, I guess you could say, because Auburn has really dominated for the last month. And people have forgot about this Villanova team in the Big East because, those, 4 early losses to all ranked opponents, people started counting them out. But I think they have 7 total losses, so 3 since then, and really been ripping off some key wins, big wins as well. But this Villanova team is a scary team, obviously, with Jay Wright and Colin Gillespie. But we'll move to the bottom of the bracket. I'm going Oklahoma to start it off in the upset over Xavier. Oklahoma is a very solid team, and Xavier is a team that's on the down slope here in the Big East, the team that I think has been overrated all year in that Xavier team. And who will Oklahoma be playing? They will be playing Wisconsin. And give me Wisconsin to move on past Oklahoma as well. Johnny Davis, that's all you need to know about that Wisconsin team. If he puts up probably 25, I think it's an easy win, both games for them. But Oklahoma could be a slip up game, but I just don't see it happening with Wisconsin and how they shoot the ball. And give me Notre Dame in the 10-7 upset over USC. Notre Dame didn't even know their program was solid, and right now they're winning the ACC. And I think their odds to probably at the beginning of the season were probably like around plus 3,000 because I don't think anyone really saw this Notre Dame team really contending like they are right now. And I think the luck will run out though. They'll play Kansas next round. Kansas will throttle them, so they'll be moving on to face Wisconsin. And we're gonna pick another upset, I guess you could say, the 3 versus 2. Give me Wisconsin, and Wisconsin will be playing Villanova in the 4-3 matchup to send them to the Final Four. And give me Villanova. I just think Jay Wright, he somehow, some way can will Villanova to a run. And it seems like when they are a lower seed, they always make the run rather than being one of those top overall seeds. So give me Villanova here to advance to the Final Four.
All right. Yeah, definitely an interesting region here. Give me Auburn, obviously. And then Wake Forest, Iowa State. This will be a first to 50 wins kind of game, two defensive heavy teams. But I'm going to lean towards Iowa State just because they play in the tougher conference in the Big 12. Michigan State, tough 12 seed there with Iona, Rick Pitino. But I think Michigan State, too much experience from their program. I think they'll get through that to play Villanova. I'm going to go with Michigan State in an upset. I guess an upset here. It's just Tom Izzo in March. And as much as I hate seeing them make runs, it seems like they do it a lot. And usually when you don't expect it. So I'm going to go with Michigan State. I also had Auburn beating Iowa State. I think I missed that. But down in Milwaukee, give me Oklahoma. I agree on the Xavier analysis there, just kind of frauds. You're going to see that as a common theme in this region here, the fraud teams. So give me Oklahoma. Wisconsin gets by, but I'm going with the upset. Oklahoma's defense shuts down Wisconsin, and Oklahoma makes a run to the Sweet 16. Now, Notre Dame USC, great football matchup. Should be a great basketball matchup if they play in a tournament. But give me Notre Dame. They are the team that's not fraudulent in this matchup because that would be USC. They will move on to play Kansas, but too much firepower for Kansas, and they should get past Notre Dame. So you got Auburn, Michigan State, Kansas, Oklahoma. So give me Michigan State in my first big upset. I'm going to take Michigan State to shock Auburn and get to the Elite Eight with a typical Michigan State run. And then give me Kansas pretty easily over Oklahoma. So you got Kansas, Michigan State in the Elite Eight, a rematch from November. And I think it goes to Kansas again. Just too much talent for Michigan State. Michigan State, I think, just will struggle to keep up with Kansas's scoring. So give me the Jayhawks.
And moving to the South, we have Arizona as the #1 seed. And after that, I think it's one of those regions again that you could honestly say the top 6 could win it, the way Arkansas has been playing at that 6 seed line. But we're going to start off at the top, Arizona, obviously, and then TCU in a great game there. I think these two teams are mildly underrated right now. Colorado State, playing in the Mountain West, not getting any respect, and TCU in the Big 12 in probably the most competitive division of basketball this year. And they're hanging in there, putting up some good numbers, getting some key wins. That's why they're here at the 8 seed. So give me TCU to move on. But Arizona, I think there's no way they don't get to the Sweet 16 right now with how they've been playing. So they'll be there. And this is where I think things could get interesting. Both of these teams are very susceptible to lose and get upset here. But I'm only going to pick one to get upset, and that's Tennessee, because it seems like every year they get upset in the tournament. So give me North Texas to play Houston, and then give me Houston to move on to play Arizona. And I will roll with Houston to beat Arizona as well. So give me Houston to the Elite Eight. And they're going to be playing for Sasser, obviously, because he's still out for the season. So chip on their shoulders, proving that they can do it without their best player. But we'll go to the bottom half of this bracket. Give me Arkansas, moving on. Liberty should give I think Illinois a run for their money because I don't know. Kofi sometimes is mildly inconsistent. But I think in this game, he'll do just enough to get by. And then the next game, how will he respond? By dominating Arkansas down low. So give me Illinois to the Sweet 16, and they will be playing the Baylor Bears, who will obviously beat Longwood, and Oregon will pull off the upset against Seton Hall, but Baylor will get the best of Oregon. And I think it's going to be Illinois, Baylor, two scrappy teams. And give me the Baylor Bears. If healthy, this team is one of the best teams in the country. Um, and I think that you're going to see that in March when they will be healthy, really playing their butts off. And we're going to have a Houston Baylor game. And this one, I think, is more of a flip a coin. Who's going to shoot better and defend better? Obviously, that's every basketball game. But I think for this game, it's going to come down to Michael Meyer and Baylor, coming off the bench. What is the bench going to help you? And it seems like bench is very key for March Madness runs. And Baylor has a better bench. So I got to go with Baylor here, moving to the Final Four.
All right, you definitely have the best region here. I don't think it's that close, honestly. Even with Arkansas at a 6, they could win the region. So very strong. I'm gonna go with Arizona and TCU, with Arizona getting by TCU, who could give them a game, but they're not going to be able to pull that off, I don't think. I'm going to go with Houston and Tennessee, both winning, although those, like you said, both could be upsets. I'm not going to pick either one. Too much caution on my part, but I will say Houston beats Tennessee. They just do what Tennessee does, but a little better. So I think that's a bad matchup for Tennessee. So give me Houston, move on and play Arizona there in the Sweet 16. I'm going to go with Arkansas, who's a red hot team. They get by, we'll say, Miami. And then Illinois should get through Liberty. So you got Illinois and Arkansas. And I'm going to go with Illinois. I don't think Arkansas quite has a answer for Kofi right now. So I think Illinois should get past them. Oregon beats Seton Hall there in a pretty good matchup, two really athletic teams. And then Baylor should get through. But I'm going to go with a big upset. I'm taking Oregon. I know I picked Baylor to go all the way to the championship 3 days ago. Now I'm taking Oregon, mainly because I'm really high on the Ducks, not really because I'm, down on Baylor. I think Oregon, since their whatever it was 5-6 start or something like that, they were just terrible early. Now they've turned into a really good basketball team, so they're much better than a 10 seed, and they'll beat Baylor. So back up to Arizona, Houston. Give me Arizona in a tight game. Just not enough for Houston without Marcus Sasser there. So Arizona to the Elite Eight. And then I'm going to go with Illinois getting by the 10 seed Oregon. And then you got Arizona and Illinois there in the Elite Eight. And I think Arizona has a little bit too much for Illinois. Illinois has Kofi, but Arizona has Koloko and Balo. So they have two huge guys that you got to account for. So I'm going with Arizona there.
And the last region, the East. And for me, this is where things are going to get crazy. So I'm going with Purdue, obviously, beating the 16 seed, whoever that is. Wyoming should get by St. Mary's. And I'm going with Wyoming over Purdue. Yes, you're probably thinking, no way. There's no way that's going to happen. Well, hear me out. If Purdue plays like they did last night at Michigan, I'd say about 3/4 of the teams in this tournament can beat Purdue. Because what we saw last night wasn't really an utter domination from Michigan. For a solid 5-6 minutes, I think in the first half, Purdue was just chucking up threes, running no offense, really sloppy basketball. And it was a close game at the time when they were doing that. So if they get caught, doing something like that again, it's going to hurt them in the tournament. And that Wyoming team is a very solid team that, once again, nobody's talking about in the Mountain West. Because one, they play late games, and two, obviously there's no really good ranked team there. But I'm thinking this Wyoming team, Josh Allen's old school, if you know football, I think they're gonna pull off a huge upset here and move to the Sweet 16. And who will they be playing? We're gonna go with another huge upset in this one. We're gonna go with both of the teams, 12 and 13 seeds, moving on and pulling off upsets. Alabama, very inconsistent team. Same with Texas. And Toledo will be moving on over Chattanooga to play Wyoming. And we're going to go with Wyoming to the Elite Eight. you're probably thinking there's no way, but hey, it's March. Chaos always happens. So, the perfect bracket has never been done, and you could be looking at it right now. You just never know. But we're moving down to the bottom half of the bracket, and more chaos is going to happen. Davidson over Ohio State. Davidson is a very solid mid-major team. Ohio State, obviously, as you can see, trending down low, and could be trending down even more if they lose to Michigan here on tomorrow.
Right.
And the only upset I don't have right now so far is Providence. I have Providence moving on. I love my Friars this year. They've been my team ever since I bet on them at the beginning of the year. And they will move on to the Sweet 16 and get by Davidson in probably one of those buzzer beater, one possession games, just because this region is hectic so far. And we're going to go with the 10 seed beating the 7 seed, Loyola. And then, of course, we're going to go with Kentucky, obviously winning, because there's got to be one dominant team that moves on, right? Well, wrong, because I'm going with Loyola over Kentucky here. And you're just thinking to yourself, wow, he is really just all out in limb here. He's really going all out. Well, it seems like there's one region every year where there's just tons of chaos. And you saw last year it was Ohio State's region, when Oral Roberts made a run, and it was Oregon State, and everybody, collapsed in there. So you really just never know what could happen here. But we're going to have Providence playing Loyola, and give me Providence. I think that after all that chaos, there will be a high seed that will be moving on to the Elite Eight, and it'll be Providence versus Wyoming. And give me Providence there. I'm just riding high on the Friars this year. Solid in the Big East, leading the Big East as we're making this video by 2 games. Still have to play Villanova twice, so we'll really see what they are made of there. But as of February 11th, I think the Friars are a really good team, and they're my last team to make the Final Four.
All right, I'm going to go a different direction here with this very different in terms of upsets. I'm going to go with Purdue and St. Mary's. So already big disagreements there, but I'm going to go with Purdue moving on. Not the scariest 8-9 second round matchup there for Purdue. Otherwise, they would be pretty susceptible to an upset. They remind me of the 2013 Michigan team that lost to Louisville. You felt like that team could lose in the first round or they could win the whole thing. That's kind of what Purdue's like this year. But I'm going to take them to the Sweet 16. And this is Pittsburgh. Any of these 4 teams could come out of Pittsburgh as the Sweet 16 representative. I'm going to go with Alabama and Toledo here. I'm going to go that direction. And I don't feel great about it, but I'm taking Alabama to the Sweet 16, winning 2 games in a row, something that they seem to not be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just Toledo, the way you can beat a good defensive team is to shoot the lights out. And that's what MAC teams do. So give me Toledo there. I'm going to go with Providence and Ohio State, both moving on. But I think Ohio State gets the upset there, playing in the better conference in the Big Ten. So we're just going different directions. Give me Kentucky getting past Loyola there. I do think Loyola just seems like they get through the first round every year. And as long as Sister Jean's there at the game, they'll beat Iowa. But Kentucky gets past them. So you got Purdue and Alabama, 1-5 matchup. Give me Purdue. Neither of those teams are consistent, but Purdue's slightly more consistent than Alabama. And then I'll go with Kentucky fairly easily there over Ohio State. So I got Purdue and Kentucky in the Elite Eight, but give me Kentucky, especially after last night's, demolishing for Purdue by Michigan. And like you said, that was more about what Purdue did wrong than what Michigan did right. So give me Kentucky to move on to the Final Four over Purdue.
And we'll go to the Final Four here. And representing from the West, I have Gonzaga. From the South, I have Baylor. And those two are gonna have a great game, and a national championship rematch, but this time in the Final Four. And I honestly really don't know where this game could go. It could go either way, as we're still speaking that Baylor's healthy here. But I got to go to Gonzaga here. I think the revenge game, size. Gonzaga has it all this year, where they should be the favorites going into this game. So give me Gonzaga to the Natty. And from the Midwest, I have Villanova. And from the East, I have Providence. a Big East matchup. And, another coin flip game. I really don't know where to go with this one because they're both in the Big East. And I guess it's really going to depend on how it goes in the regular season and if they play each other in the postseason as well. That would probably influence my decision even more. But right now, I'm riding high on my Friars. If they're going to get this far, you might as well go to the Natty. So give me Providence to the Natty playing Gonzaga. But after all that chaos in the East, in the Midwest, in the South, it doesn't matter. Gonzaga is still going to be your national champion. Chet Holmgren, one and done. The Gonzaga team, half of them will leave. They'll reload, probably be a number one seed, in 2023 because they don't play anybody. But speaking about this year, give me Gonzaga. Chet Holmgren wins Final Four most valuable player.
All right, so I have Gonzaga and Arizona on the left side, and then I have Kansas and Kentucky matching up. So this would be a great Final Four, especially the Kansas-Kentucky game. But I'm going to go with Gonzaga over Arizona. Gonzaga has the size to match up with Arizona, which most teams don't. So if they can limit that advantage, then I think they are clearly the better team right now. So I think Gonzaga will move on. Kansas, Kentucky. Is that? Yeah, that is what I had. Kansas, Kentucky. We already saw that, and it was at Allen Fieldhouse, and Kentucky ran them out of the gym. So I'm definitely not going to go with Kansas here. Got to roll with Kentucky in the rematch, which gives you Gonzaga and Kentucky, the two best teams in the country right now, in my opinion. And I'm going to give the upper hand to Kentucky. I just think it's been a long time coming. I said this 3 days ago. It's been a long time coming, 10 years in the making since their only title under John Calipari. But they get it this year and beat Gonzaga, who loses again in the final game.
And that'll do it for us today in the Bench Buddies making the college basketball video. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel if you want to watch some more college basketball videos. We will be doing a giveaway at 100 subscribers, so make sure you are here before that 100 subscriber. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.